This is a tough week at running back. I mean, I feel like through the first 2 weeks, running backs have legitimately been allergic to fantasy football points. And some guys that had great week twos, like Aaron Jones, are going to be looking at disgusting matchups. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to try to help you out, submit these starting lineups for week 3. I want to go through and rank the top 30 options now. Right now, there's some uncertainty with guys like Alvin Kamara, James Conner on if they're going to be available week 3. I will rank them for the time being, but later on this week, I'm going to be getting you an update with these players. So make sure you go down there, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscribe button because we are live streaming every single day answering fantasy football questions. If you can't come out to a live stream, you know what I'm going to say. We're answering at least 200 comments down there on every single video. So go down to the comment section, drop anything you have to say there. Tell me I'm ugly, tell me I'm stupid, or ask a question. Last but not least, this video is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Over there on Underdog, you're going to check out all these cool player props, and you've seen us doing drafts every single night in the live stream on Underdog Fantasy. So if you want to draft with us in a best ball league halfway through the year, if you want to go check out a player prop, make sure you go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. You'll get our 2022 fantasy football rankings, and you'll be able to have some fun in drafts with us. Let's go through. Let's dive into these rankings. Running back 1, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, with JT, I understand, yes, the Indianapolis Colts put up 0 points week 1. They had no Michael Pittman. They had no Alec Pierce. I think that if we get some wide receiver help here, the Indianapolis Colts are going to be better. Y'all know, I was of the opinion that Matt Ryan wasn't nearly as much of an upgrade as people thought he was over Carson Wentz. We got made fun of for it, yada, yada, yada. But guys, it's been 2 weeks. Don't just go have a full-blown panic attack on Matt Ryan here when he had no Pittman, he had no Alec Pierce. I think this offense is better against Kansas City. We're also going to have Christian McCaffrey here at 2. Now, with CMC going up against the New Orleans Saints, don't love this matchup. He's playing over 90% of the snaps here in Carolina. There's not too much to discuss. I know maybe you'll say, oh, but Mason, CMC's been so disappointing. Well, who do you rank here at 2? This running back landscape in general has been gross. Going down to our next tier, we're going to have Joe Mixon at 3. We're going to be very aggressive here with Mixon. In my opinion, the #1 trade target right now at the running back position. Going up against the New York Jets here, we've seen the Jets just give up 1,000,000 points to Nick Chubb in week 2. I think that this is a clear bounce back spot for the Cincinnati Bengals. Come on, are we really expecting the Bengals to be this bad throughout the entire season? I still think they're an above average offense. Let's go play Joe Mixon. Then we're going to have DeAndre Swift at 4. This is going to be for a full PPR format. Non-PPR, you're going to be sliding DeAndre Swift down, but DeAndre Swift's been on fire through the first 2 weeks. DeAndre Swift was limited last week, so if he's healthier, if he expands his role going into week 3, come on, I think he's a safe top 5 running back. Our next guy is going to be Saquon Barkley 5. With Barkley, great week 1, and honestly, week 2, he still had the workload that we were looking for. Now, the issue is the matchup going up against Dallas. This is going to be a tough spot in general. This Dallas Cowboys defense has been very good. And at the same time, I mean, clearly opposing defensive coordinators are able to just focus in their entire game plan on stopping Saquon Barkley. Hopefully we get Kadarius Toney taking a step forward. Hopefully Wan'Dale Robinson's healthy. I don't know. We need something better from the New York Giants offense here, but Barkley's going to be the main driver of this. And our next running back at 6 is going to be Dalvin Cook. Great matchup against the Detroit Lions with Dalvin Cook. I would say don't panic here. I understand that it was a horrendous performance against the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night, but it was Kirk Cousins Monday night. What are you expecting from the Minnesota Vikings offense? Great matchup against the Detroit Lions. 7, we are going to have Austin Ekeler. With Ekeler, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. You don't know the availability of Keenan Allen. We don't know the availability of Justin Herbert. So we are going to cautiously rank him at 7. He's a running back that's still drawing targets at a consistent basis in what should be one of the better offenses in the NFL. And despite the Jacksonville Jaguars just shutting out Matt Ryan and Paris Campbell, I think that you do have a better week this week with the Chargers against the Jags. Now let's drop it down a tier. Let's go over to Nick Chubb, running back 8. Nick Chubb is the one guy that I am so happy with. I mean, we finally started drafting Nick Chubb this year because he was going in round 3 in underdog drafts. So I've been drafting Nick Chubb a lot. I thought in the first round in years prior wasn't a great pick, but Our Nick Chubb team's looking great right now, but at the same time, he is still split in this backfield with Kareem Hunt. On top of this, it's not a great matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So despite Nick Chubb just straight up dominating a week ago, I don't necessarily think we can rank him as a top 3 running back going forward in a PPR format. Now our next running back, someone that disappointed on Monday night, but it was an atrocious matchup. Derrick Henry. With Derrick Henry, he went up against the Buffalo Bills. Everybody saw not only Derrick Henry, but this entire Tennessee Titans offense failing. And this was something you needed to be concerned about coming into the year. Y'all know I wasn't the biggest Derrick Henry guy. We got a lot of hate for it. But Derrick Henry's a 28-year-old running back, by far and away the worst offensive line of his NFL career. And the efficiency of the offense was going to be dramatically lowered with A.J. Brown, who I believe is a top 5 talent at the wide receiver position, going over to Philadelphia. So there are very real concerns here with Derrick Henry. I still think we have to have him as a top 10 running back, but I don't know. It should be a bounce back spot, though, with a defense that's not as good as what you have with Buffalo. But now our next running back, Javonte Williams. With Javonte, don't love the matchup going up against San Francisco. He actually had a much better spot against Houston a week ago. But what I love to see with Javonte Williams is he's being heavily involved as a passing down running back. And on top of this, he's expanding his role overall. We're getting less and less Melvin Gordon, more and more Javonte Williams. Even if I don't like the matchup against the 49ers, it is what it is. And then Leonard Fournette, going to be our next guy going up against the Green Bay Packers. With Fournette, I think in Tampa, there's a lot we need to be looking out for this week. I mean, obviously, Evans not going to go. I would say it's probably safe to assume we don't have Chris Godwin. We don't know if Julio Jones is going to be playing. So this may be a very difficult week for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be able to move the ball down the field. But at the same time, with Leonard Fournette, he is going to be the starting running back for Tom Brady. Rachaad White has an extremely small role in this offense. Fournette's still going to have a very high target share, especially if we don't have these top-end receivers. And now our next running back going to be Naji Harris, someone that is really disappointing everyone. I get it. I understand it. But at the same time, with Naji Harris, he's still seeing the majority of touches in his backfield. He's another week removed from the ankle injury. We knew it was a very tough matchup against the New England Patriots a week ago. We had Naji Harris ranked lower than this a week ago, but I think that he is in somewhat of a bounce back spot against Cleveland. I mean, Michael Carter and Breece Hall did fine against Cleveland here. And now dropping down a tier, Alvin Kamara 13. With Kamara, we don't know about the rib injury just yet. I think that we have to sit on our hands. If Kamara plays, you play Kamara. Maybe you expect a smaller role overall. That's why we have him ranked here as a high-end running back too. We don't have him ranked as a top 10 guy this week. But if he plays, you play him. I'll get you an update later on this week, though. Our next running back, David Montgomery. Great matchup against the Houston Texans. I mean, obviously, the Chicago Bears offense looks like a train wreck right now. Justin Fields had like 70 passing yards a week ago. But they are just force-feeding David Montgomery here. We talked about him being a bounce-back candidate after Khalil Herbert stole the touchdown in week 1. I think it's a great matchup. I think that this is one of the very few teams that Chicago may be able to lead throughout the entire game. And if that's going to be the case, probably a good spot for David Montgomery. But now our next running back is going to be Aaron Jones. With Aaron Jones, I am sorry to put him down this low. Y'all know I drafted a lot of Aaron Jones this year. I drafted too much Aaron Jones this year. But if we were looking at the usage that we had, this is a running back that had less touches than A.J. Dillon a week ago. This is a running back that has the toughest matchup you could find in fantasy football. Being a running back going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it's scary. I'm going to be a little bit lower on Aaron Jones than most people this week. But now our next running back is going to be James Conner. With James Conner, this is a running back that I think we have to look at and say, okay, well, if he's healthy going up against the Rams, we probably play him. I think that this is a game that has the possibility of being the highest scoring game of the week between the Rams and the Arizona Cardinals. Even if it's a tough matchup, Conner has been getting involved as a passing down running back with no Chase Edmonds in this offense. So we're definitely going to have to monitor the injury reports. But if he plays, you probably put him in your starting lineup. And our next running back, going to be Antonio Gibson. With Antonio Gibson here going up against Philadelphia, I am expecting, I know this is a bold claim, but I'm expecting that we have Washington falling back down to earth. I don't think Carson Wentz, when it's all said and done, is going to be a top 3 quarterback in the NFL in passing yards. I don't think that's happening. I think you got to dramatically lower your expectations here in Washington. But Gibson is a running back that's doing a little bit of everything. And the Philadelphia Eagles matchup, I want to say it's okay, but keep in mind, we just had Dalvin Cook getting less than, 20 rushing yards this past week. Now let's go down to our next tier where we are going to have A.J. Dillon leading off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that Dillon's in line for a bounce back if we look at his overall opportunity with what he had last week. But at the same time, I am very concerned about the run defense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A.J. Dillon may be able to get saved, though, because he has been used as a passing down running back here. I mean, he had as many targets as Aaron Jones week 2. He had as many targets as Aaron Jones week 1. I don't know. It's a tough matchup, but he's going to be playing in a good offense. And at the same time, some might make the argument that this is a pure 50-50 backfield. Now, our next running back, James Robinson, going up against the Los Angeles Chargers. I do not think the game script is going to favor James Robinson this week, as we saw a week ago against the Indianapolis Colts. But it's hard to just ignore the fact that James Robinson is currently the starting running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Even if we look at the carries that Etienne had a week ago, it's a little deceiving because Etienne was kind of the running back getting used in garbage time. So I think we have to dramatically bump up James Robinson, and you will hear about Etienne at the very end of this video. And our next guy is going to be Miles Sanders. With Miles Sanders, I do think that this is a running back that we have to be a little bit pessimistic with. I understand that the Philadelphia Eagles have been extremely hot so far through the first 2 weeks. And trust me, y'all know we had the Eagles as a dark horse team to make it to the NFC Championship. I mean, we didn't go through and say that this was going to be a team that was able to go to the Super Bowl. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. The Eagles have looked great, but I do think that they fall back down to earth ever so slightly. And what I am personally concerned with is this is a 3-man backfield where Miles Sanders isn't heavily involved as a pass catcher. And most importantly, Jalen Hurts is going to be vulturing those rushing touchdowns. We saw Jalen Hurts with 2 rushing touchdowns a week ago. Now our next running back going to be Josh Jacobs, 19, going up against the Tennessee Titans with Jacobs, first and second down running back in an offense that I think leads the majority of the game. I think at this point, you have to assume that the Tennessee Titans are pretty heavy underdogs compared to the Las Vegas Raiders. Brandon Bolden, it doesn't really matter if he plays or not because it looks like Amir Abdul is going to be playing that third down role if it's not Bolden. But Jacobs, safe first and second down running back. And now our next running back is going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire here at 21 with CEH going up against the Indianapolis Colts. I drafted CEH in so many leagues. So many leagues, just like Miles Sanders, because we were getting them in the 8th and 9th round in those underdog drafts. But at the same time with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I can't sit here and act like I'm super excited with what we've seen through the first 2 weeks. I'm excited about the points that hit our starting lineup, but at the same time, he's in a clear 3-man committee. Jarrett McKinnon's being just as involved as a passing down running back as Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Isaiah Pacheco's getting some usage at the goal line, which is concerning. But now let's drop it down to our next tier where we're going to have Damien Pierce at 22. If you wanted to make the argument that Pierce should be higher than this, I would be fine with it because Damien Pierce clearly emerged as the starting running back for the Houston Texans a week ago. And this is a very good matchup. I mean, Chicago right now has let up a ridiculous amount of rushing yards through the first 2 weeks. And if we were ever going to look at a game where the Houston Texans are at least competitive, it would be going up against the Chicago Bears. I think that this is a nasty game. Like, I can't imagine what person in their right mind would decide to watch this game out of every game on Sunday. But still, I think that Damien Pierce, first and second down running back, in a good matchup. Now, our next guy is going to be Kareem Hunt here at 23. With Hunt, another player that we drafted in a lot of leagues, set to sell high after week 1, though, just because the touchdown usage is not going to be sustainable with Kareem Hunt, with Nick Chubb in town. But with Hunt, you know who he is. This is a running back that's going to be drawing consistent targets out of the backfield, and he will have some red zone role. So I think that you can play him as a low-end running back too. But obviously, the real reason we want him is if something were to happen to Nick Chubb, you are viewing him as that league-winning running back. And now our next running back, Jeff Wilson, going up against Denver. Don't love the matchup here against the Denver Broncos, but what I will say is, hell, this is a team that wants to run the ball consistently. Tyrion Davis-Price going down with the high ankle sprain. So I think that Jeff Wilson is in a very good spot here. This is a running back that did cement himself as that starter week 2. Obviously, we have no Elijah Mitchell. I think even Jimmy Garoppolo may be better for him if we're not assuming that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be taking those rushing touchdowns at the goal line. And also, because he's not going to scramble as much, I think we actually have more dump-offs out of the backfield here in San Francisco. But our last running back in this tier is going to be Ezekiel Elliott going up against the New York Giants. Let me know if you think I'm being too harsh here with Zeke. But based off what we just had a week ago against the Cincinnati Bengals, based off Tony Pollard just continuing to look better than him, I don't know. I don't know where we can rank Ezekiel Elliott. I don't know what the real ceiling is for Ezekiel Elliott if he's a committee running back in an offense with Cooper Rush at QB. But now let's drop it down another tier where we're going to have Cordell Patterson, 26. Another running back that made our sell high video after week 1 with Cordell Patterson here. Tyler Algier came out and had a pretty large role. Obviously, he had a down week going up against the Los Angeles Rams, a very tough matchup. Against Seattle here, the matchup's kind of whatever. I will say, though, Tyler Algier is splitting this backfield damn near 50-50 now. Patterson's still the guy you want. He's still going to be the player that's heavily involved as a pass catcher. But especially with the Drake London breakout, if we assume that we get a bounce back here as well from Kyle Pitts, I think maybe it's going to be difficult to assume that Cordell Patterson has the same reception ceiling that he did a year ago. But now our next running back going to be the pair of New England guys with Madre Stevenson, 27, and Damien Harris, 28. Like we said back in week 1, these guys were not startable. You had Ty Montgomery in this backfield. It was a 3-man committee in a gross NFL offense. But now, without Ty Montgomery, it's a completely different situation where this is strictly a 2-man backfield between these two guys. It's a team that wants to run the ball very often. Against Baltimore, I doubt they're going to be able to. I think the Baltimore Ravens get out to an early lead here. But still, I do prefer Stevenson over Damien Harris based on the snaps we saw a week ago, as well as the receiving upside in general with no Ty Montgomery. But now let's drop it down to our last tier where we are going to have Cam Akers, 29. With Akers, I don't know how to rank these Los Angeles Rams running backs. I mean, going up against the Arizona Cardinals, it's kind of a whatever matchup. Darrell Henderson was the guy week 1. Cam Akers is now turning this into a 50-50 backfield. I preferred Akers coming into the season. So if this is now a 50-50 running back by committee, we probably got to prefer the guy that we liked coming into the year. And now our last running back on this list is going to be Travis Etienne going up against the Chargers. With Etienne, still someone you need a roster. Even though he looks like the backup running back in Jacksonville, the game script did not favor Travis Etienne a week ago. On top of it, it was his second game in his NFL career. I think that we go through, I don't want to say buy the dip on Etienne, but I think if you can get him for completely free, can't hurt to just add him. And also a running back that if you are desperate, and I repeat, desperate, maybe you could put him here at your flex spot. Now, that's all I got for you. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. Of course, we're going to be live streaming every single night going forward, so make sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button. Make sure you go and ask any questions you have down there in the comment section. But thank you again. I appreciate you. Hope you have a great day, and hope we get to see you in the live stream tonight.